Milkshake and a hamburger. We're talking Riverdale. This is a review for Riverdale, Chapter 19, Death Proof. Well, I liked this episode. The last two episodes, if you watched my reviews before, you know I didn't like them. One I thought was perfunctory, and the other one I just did not like because it made Betty look stupid. Basic plot synopsis. We had a few stories going on tonight. We'll start with Sherrill. A lot of the stories intermix, so I don't know. We'll go with Betty and the Black Hood. So Betty gives up that one douchebag who tried to rape Cheryl and Veronica as a target to the Black Hood. But the Black Hood decides he's not going to kill Nick because Nick isn't from Riverdale. He wants to make the Sons of Riverdale pay. And Nick's an outsider. So despite the fact that the guy's a douchebag, he's not going to kill the guy. And, then he says, hey, Betty, how about this? Why don't you find the Sugar Man for me? Who is, I guess, either the person who manufactures drugs or the actual kingpin. I was kind of confused by that because I thought that Clifford Blossom, I was always calling him Chester, his actual name was Clifford, was the guy who was the drug kingpin, but I guess maybe it's the Sugar Man, or the Sugar Man is the guy who makes the drugs. I was confused by that. I mean, if the Sugar Man is the drug kingpin, then was Clifford Blossom the people making the drugs? Yeah, anyway, the Sugar Man is some drug-related individual. I guess he makes the drugs or, picks the distributors. And, he's like, Black Hood's like, hey, find the Sugar Man. He's connected to the Blossom, so Betty tries to get Cheryl on her side, and Cheryl's kind of annoyed because at the same time she's going through this turmoil of just almost being raped, which was a more interesting story than I think Betty, because I just like, Betty, put down the fucking phone, you call the fucking police and let them know the fucking Black Hood is trying to work with you, or you're going to be culpable to any murders he commits. But Betty's, got some plan where she's going to find the Sugar Man and somehow use it as a way to trap the Black Hood. I mean, then why even go after the Sugar Man? I mean, yeah, he's a drug kingpin or distributor, but, you're putting yourself at a risk because she had to go, they had to find the ghoulies and find out who was doing the drugs, and they, tried to trail that guy, but they figure out they're being trailed, and then they take him to the ghoulie headquarters where they run into Archie and Jughead. Like I said, intertwining stories, we'll get to them later. And, the ghoulies would have capped them there. And, why? I mean, Betty's taking down the Sugar Man. It just puts her in more danger, And then she's going to go after the Black Hood. You betray him, once again, more danger. It's like, just pick one or the other. It's not that hard. Why are you trying to make all the effort? I'd say go to the cops, but, they go out of their way to make the sheriff just so stupid. But, to be honest, I don't know if he's that stupid. Or it's just no one goes to him with any of their problems. They lie their asses off to him. So maybe he's not that good because he can't tell when people are lying to him, like, with his son Kevin. But Jesus fucking Christ, pull your head out of your ass, man. But, I get how TV shows, when, it's about solving mysteries and it's not about cops solving mysteries, they got to make the cops look stupid, like Sherlock Holmes or Murder, She Wrote, where they had just 200 murders in a small town in, Maine that Jessica Fletcher had to solve. So I can get why, the cop had to be, not too bright. But, it was Tom Bosley. You got to have him play the sheriff, and he's supposed to be an idiot. And, of course, Madlock, too. All the fucking cops in that are just fucking morons. Anyway, I digress. Let's just get on to Riverdale, because that's what I'm doing a review for. So, at the end, Betty ends up catching the sugar kingpin because she works with Cheryl, and Cheryl, I'll get to her story because, like I said, intertwined. And, she exposes the sugar kingpin who's worked at Southside High. He was the one teacher who was, gonna mentor Jughead, but turns out, I guess he's the sugar man, the drug guy. And, Betty gets a call from the Black Hood. I guess you're on my side. She goes, no, I took down the sugar man, and now I'm coming after you. Because I love danger. Okay, I can get on board with that. With Betty's got a danger streak in her. And maybe it turns her on, she gets into the bondage stuff. But still, let's if that's going to be her thing, let that be her thing. Don't kind of bounce back where she's vulnerable. And then all of a sudden she's, ooh, I'm coming to get you. And people complain about Mary Sue's. I mean, she's flipping what her character aspect is. One minute she's vulnerable, where she's, the Black Hood's leading her on, and now she's after the Black Hood. Yeah. And at the end of the episode, we see the Black Hood has returned to Riverdale. He's in the police station, pointing a gun at the sugar man through the jail bars, because the sugar man got caught. He's in a jail cell. Black Hood shows up, puts a gun through the jail bars. Ooh, what's going to happen? I hope to God they fucking kill him. Don't be fucking teasing us. Especially with a fucking secondary character like this. Alright? I mean, we thought he was going to, they're going to kill that douchebag who, sexually tried to, rape Veronica and Cheryl. This week, now, is he going to shoot the fucking guy? I hope he fucking does. I'd be pretty fucking pissed if this guy doesn't get it. Because, this season has to be somewhat different from last season. And so far, not really. It's sort of like, once again, trying to find out who the killer is. But I thought this season would be different because it would add the element of who's he going to try and kill. Sort of like Scream Queens. You had the mystery of who's the Red Devil or who's the Green Mimi and who's going to get it. Season 1 was excellent with that. Because you had a lot of suspects and you had a lot of characters. And you also wondered which ones would get killed off, who would be the killers. So you had a lot going. Season 2 rolls around. They bring back most of the same characters from Season 1. So you didn't feel that they'd get killed off, even though they did kill at least 2 of them. Yeah, 2 of them from Scream Queens in Season 2. But their victims ended up being mostly these characters who they brought in for one episode. They kill them off, and you wouldn't care. So you didn't care so much who was going to get it. And eventually you kind of stopped caring who the killer was, and that's why Scream Queens isn't around anymore. So if, Riverdale's going to do something different, I think the element of who might get killed this season would be a good one. Okay, so that's kind of just Betty's story. Also, more drama with Alice, as Alice decides to bring all the parents in on the party that happened last week, where all their kids were doing drugs, and of course she's got to have a stick up her ass about it and say, well, my Betty wasn't doing drugs, but the rest of them, and you know where they got them, the South Side, because Reggie, who was there, decides, he's going to say where he got the drugs from, and it's like, oh, when people say white privilege, I think Riverdale captures it excellently. Not to say that they're, favor of it, because you got all these North Siders, these rich kids, they were all doing drugs at a party, and, they're going to get community services. Meanwhile, the mayor, because she finds out her daughter was doing drugs, has decided to take war on the South Side, because she's listening to Alice, and, cross over and arrest all these South Side serpents with, charging them for what, I don't know. And, of course, Jughead sees this because Archie comes and warns him, which was pretty cool. And then, everyone runs out, which I thought Jughead should have stayed. Because you follow last week when you did the initiation, there was this sort of thing, you never leave a serpent behind or out for dead. And he just kind of took off while all the other serpents got arrested. I think he needed to stay there, get himself arrested, but this doesn't become an issue because he gets with the leader of the Southside Serpents, Tall Boy, that's the big one, who, he saw in the season finale. He's like, hey, take this jacket. We're family now. That guy. And, he's like, hey, now that most of my people are in jail, I got to make a deal with our rivals, the Ghoulies, and, let share some of the territory. And Jughead's like, we can't hang out with these drug smuggling assholes. And this kind of leads to where Jughead has to go to FP, his father, and explain to him he's in the Southside Serpents and what do they do. And I like that scene because, Skeet Ulrich's character is like, no, he's upset because his son joined the Serpents. And then he's telling them, okay, well, you gotta one up the ghoulies. You gotta beat them at something. You gotta put, some of our territory on the line and to beat them. They like their muscle cars and they like drag racing. You catch my drift? And the guys were like, he's like, oh my God, you need to beat him in a drag race. I like how they didn't catch his drift and he had to explain to them that they had to beat him in a drag race. So Jughead and Archie challenged the Ghoulies to a drag race, which is how they ended up in the Ghoulie headquarters when Betty and Veronica show up, intertwining plot lines. And, as Jughead and Archie are taking on the Ghoulies, Grease style. They're having a drag race. They're coming to a bridge, and Jughead's like all into it. He's like, I've gotta go 100 miles an hour. I gotta win this race. And Archie's like, no, slams on the brakes. And as it turns out, not only this is let the Ghoulies go ahead of them, but it sets them up to be caught by the police because Archie called them, which pisses off everyone, Ghoulies and Southside Serpents, and they all blame Jughead. But, now the Ghoulies are in jail, so the Southside Serpents are out. Which, I guess they didn't... Yeah. I thought there'd be more of the Ghoulies this season. But I think that might just be it. They might get out of jail and want revenge on Jughead, but I don't think... I think I pretty much was wrong about Hiram. I thought he was going to be the drug kingpin, but it's this teacher of theirs. And, Hiram doesn't want, I guess, anything to do with the drugs. And like I said, that's where that went. I do like the sort of idea that, the north side want a bunch of assholes that are being to the south side. I think that's what's going to be the, this season wide is, north versus south, Riverdale Civil War. And everyone's kind of hoping the south side wins. That'd be a first, hoping the South wins the Civil War. Well, I guess 50% wouldn't want the South to win. The other 50 would. That's kind of how the South War played out. But anyway, like I said, that's that plot line. So we go back to Sherrill. Like I said, she's got two basic storylines that they're working in. First, she's dealing with the fact that she almost got raped last episode. And, all the higher, her mother wants to cover it up. The Lodges want to cover it up. The Sinclairs, they all want, all the parents want to cover it up, which, just upsets her. And then Betty comes around looking for info on the sugar man. And, this leads to Cheryl asking her questions about, her father's business and who was the sugar man. This story you kept telling me when her mother isn't going to give her any information. Then later she finds out that the Sinclairs paid her mother off, so she can't press charges against the guy who tried to rape her, even though I don't think she'd need her fucking mother's permission to go to fucking cops and say, hey, this guy tried to rape me. Or maybe she does because she's a minor, so the police couldn't even interview her without her mother's permission. But it did lead to a very interesting scene where, Cheryl's like asking the mother, he's like, what the hell? I mean, I get that you don't like me, but I couldn't believe that you would stoop this low where you'd let this guy get away with what he did to me and you take money for it. And she says, you know what? I want to know who this fucking sugar man is. If me being your daughter means anything to you, tell me. And then later she ends up at the drag race, being the girl who throws the flag up in the air. Which I was like, what the fuck? It's sort of like her story this episode really should have been about her recovering from almost being sexually assaulted. And, how that affects her. So they work in this sugar man thing, with her father being the drug lord. And their connection to that. Kind of see how they could intertwine it because she's just got a fucked up life. But then they're going to have her at the drag the drag race, being the one lifting up the flag. You like carefree. It's like, for fuck's sake, what are you trying to say here? Is she like fucking massively bipolar, or just you not know how? Just feel that you need to write her into every fucking scene. You know, a little consistency on Sherrill would not hurt. You know, I like her. I like her character. And like I said, Madeline Petch's, is it Petch? Her performance was fucking amazing. And it kind of feels like you're going to ruin it, where, you know, she's traumatized. She has, she's trying to figure out her family, and, you know, her mother betrays her, and then, but she's still carefree and happy. It's like, no, that doesn't make any goddamn sense. She should be in her room crying or back out of the river trying to commit suicide. I don't know. I like the Cheryl character, but if they're just going to keep bouncing her around all over the place with storylines, I'm going to get pretty goddamn annoyed. You know? Yeah. I'm beginning to take issue with it. I don't know if anyone else does, but that's all I got to say on Cheryl. Just, you know, consistency. But speaking of storylines, Reggie and his, him and Josie, last week they were kind of getting frisky with one another when they were high on the jingle jangle. This week, you know, it's sort of like Josie forgot all about it. And Reggie's like, whoa, wait, what's up, girl? Because when they're doing community service, you know, these good kids who just happen to get mixed up in drugs from the evil South Side, you know, Josie's not doing shit. She's just on her phone. And Reggie's giving her shit about it, so they have this sort of back and forth. And, like, then Veronica breaks it up so she can ask Reggie about, you know, his connections to the drug world. So, you know, they can get a lead on Sugar Man, intertwining plot. And they're like, oh, god damn it. You know, I'm trying to ship Jogi, I think is what I called it, you know. Josie and Reggie, you know. Some back and forth between them. Give Reggie a fucking story. And here we go. We just got a little bit of an idea of a story for Reggie. And in comes Veronica with the whole sugar daddy storyline. Which is it Cheryl's story or is it Betty's story? You know? I mean, if you can have all these stories, maybe you can dole it out. Like next episode, it looks like they're all going to be investigating Sheriff Keller. Like, you know, Betty's going to be investigating him because the one guy, like I said, the Black Hood was at the police station. I am sticking to my theory that the Black Hood is a former cop who worked for Riverdale, whose life went to shit because of his son or one of his children got on drugs, and that's how he got into the police station. Everyone wants to think it's the actual sheriff. I think it's either a previous sheriff or law enforcement guy, or it's a guy who's going to be running for sheriff against Keller because everyone thinks he's stupid, and he kind of is. So I stick with that theory. The only thing I really can't figure out is why this guy has what's his connection to Betty, and if it's two Black Hoods or not. Because part of me still thinks, you know, that there is a fake Black Hood who calls Betty, and that there is a actual Black Hood who's doing all the killing, and the two people aren't connected. My latest theory on fake Black Hood, as I call him, I don't know, Chick Cooper. A lot of people think he is the actual Black Hood. I think that he might just be a fake Black Hood who, you know, is calling Betty, trying to burn down Riverdale because he was the north side of Riverdale because, you know, he was supposed to grow up on the north side with the Coopers, but that didn't happen. He ended up on the south side because his life went to shit, and now he wants revenge on the north side, and especially his mother. Oh, they did bring up her mugshot, and when, you know, Alice is on her fucking high horse, and they're asking questions, you know, the kids, Hiram's like, you know, I know the story behind that fucking mugshot. I know what you got in trouble for. The fucking sheriff! Because that might also be connected to the Black Hood. Well, we know it's connected to the Black Hood, because the Black Hood sent the picture to Betty, but I think there might be a deeper connection. Maybe the Black Hood, if the actual one was an actual cop, he's the one that arrested Alice for whatever she did. Maybe that Black Hood was a victim of Alice's somehow. That's something that she was involved in with the serpents. Led to someone getting hurt who might led them to the Black Hood himself or someone that the Black Hood loved. Who knows? Like I said, I thought tonight's episode was interesting. Like I said, I did have some problems with Sherrill, but not so much that I didn't like this episode. I just, get your shit together with her, Riverdale. Aside from that, it was a very good episode. That's all I got.